I might have been doing YouTube for the wrong reasons for most of this year. That's one of the big takeaways from 2024, along many others that hopefully I'm going to try to explain and share a little bit here in the hopes that it'll help me. Most importantly, it's a bit of a selfish video and help you as well, maybe resonate with you in some way. So let's start off with this very topic. I was hoping that my YouTube channel would have been a really good plan B for me in terms of like monetization opportunities and other opportunities. For those who don't know, I'm a freelance video editor, videographer, specifically for YouTubers, and not sometimes not YouTubers as well, but generally YouTube channels and people who make YouTube stuff. And I had one client that was kind of my big client who was giving me the majority of my ability to survive, majority of my income. And at the start of this year / end of last year, my financial situation with them changed a little bit, which means that I wasn't making as much money as I was previously, which obviously was a pretty big hit on me, pretty big wake-up call in many ways for me to like not just rely solely on this one client. Obviously, this is in hindsight really obvious stuff that freelancers in general should take heed of, which is don't just rely on that one high-paying client to be the majority of your income, because if things change with them, you're screwed because you've just been relying on most of your money from that one thing versus diversifying it across multiple clients. But in a way, I was kind of doing that, or at least I thought I was doing that, because I was just really hoping that I could put a lot of energy into this YouTube channel to the point where it would like build, I would get 10,000 subs. Haven't got that yet as recording this video, and then it would build up to 20, 30, etc. And then, you know, like money would come from that and other creative opportunities. And even if this one big client did disappear all of a sudden, I would be okay. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. And it kind of woke me up a lot to this whole YouTube thing where I started to not enjoy YouTube as much or putting out videos, because every video that wasn't a success was me not being one step closer to YouTube being my plan B as like my worst case scenario backup plan. So like I cared a lot more about the success or like failure of like a video not doing super well or getting loads of views or being like the breakout video that would get me to a big audience. And this was obviously a rubbish mindset with YouTube. Like I try and advise people who ask me or share content on this video towards other creative freelancers that don't make YouTube for the money, because it really is just, it requires so much patience and focus to just build slowly and surely to become something that, you know, is going to give you opportunities in whatever creative field you're in, or whatever field you're in. It doesn't have to be a creative field. And I didn't take my own advice, unfortunately. But it's been good, because essentially what it's meant is that I finally had to put way more effort than I ever have into finding new clients, which is something that I thankfully did so many times previously, years ago, that it didn't take me too long to build up the momentum to like get good again at that skill, because it is a skill. Like how to pitch yourself to clients, how to find clients, how to sell your services, whatever it may be, is in itself a skill. And if you don't use that for a while, you'll start to kind of lose your ability to, you know, write good emails and custom video messages in a compelling way, how to like sell yourself. That is a forever skill, in my opinion, or now I know it is a forever skill. It's not something that you should just stop once your client roster is filled up, because you can always trade new clients for higher paying clients or more fun to work with clients, or maybe, you know, do some outsourcing to other creatives that you know, and you can kind of collaborate together on that to take the surplus of people who need your services. And luckily I've had some pretty good success, or some like decent success thus far, after this big wake-up call, where I have some clients that have landed in the last few months, which is great. Been working with them, another one long-term that hopefully I'll be working with more in January, and hopefully that'll be a long-term YouTube collaboration relationship. But in hindsight, I should have done this way quicker, way earlier, and thankfully got the wake-up call at a time when I could implement the necessary steps without that client disappearing entirely and me being like, oh shit, I've just got to take whatever I can get because I'm screwed otherwise. I need to eat, I need to pay rent. But one of the big things that it's also taught me, and maybe I've talked about this in previous end of year wrap up videos, because I think this is my 9th one so far. Crazy. Been pretty consistent with this. Albeit getting more comfortable because I'm inside versus outside on a hill or somewhere cold and freezing like I used to do before. It's that Parkinson's law, that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. And before, I had so much time. Like, again, I was working for this one YouTube client, mainly doing a lot of managerial stuff for them, managing their channel, YouTube strategy, editing a little bit, but predominantly it was like responsibility allocated to me versus actual like many hours sat in front of a computer. Usually there's some months where I had to do a bit of that for this client, but since I've been working for more clients and, you know, getting my like really delving into the actually juggling multiple clients versus just having that one big one, I get way more done. And I think it's just because you need that extra little bit of pressure on yourself to find gaps of time to like really know that, hey, I only have an hour today of free time where I could be working on YouTube script writing, and you feel more inclined to take it because you know that you can't put that off. And obviously there's some niceness to knowing like, oh, it doesn't matter if I'm ill, I don't have to bother doing that, there's no time pressure, I can just meet my friend, etc, etc. That is nice, but I think if you don't have that like a little kick up the ass because you just don't have enough time and you have to take these opportunities to make progress on the things that you want, then you're just it's so easy to coast and to really stretch out your time over a longer period when you could, you know, put that extra bit of energy and put that extra bit of focus in and get way more done in a shorter period of time. And having more clients and just having less time in general has allowed me to become more strategic with my abilities of actually finding time in the week to be able to get all my stuff done. Another big thing I've done this year, especially with YouTube, is that I've kind of taken the advice of niching down that many of the YouTube gurus train us up, or like this messaging is niche down. And for a long time, I really didn't want to do this. Like, I knew what I'm interested in. I'm interested in creative related topics, filmmaking, video editing, all this stuff. But it wasn't until like probably a month or two ago where I changed my YouTube banner. And that was kind of the commitment of, okay, I decided on a niche. It might not be uber duper niche, but at least there's like a clear branding direction behind what this channel is. And that is a home for creative freelancers, helping fellow freelancers in creative fields navigate the world and the journeys that we're all going down. And I could have done the filmmaking route, but honestly, that's just like, yeah, that is basically my job. But I didn't want to make a YouTube channel just helping video editors, because I'm lucky that I have friends in different creative fields. I have like friends who are musicians, friends who are graphic designers, like web designers, things like this. And a lot of the advice that I hear from them or from other YouTube channels that talk about these things all applies to me as well. And I'm not even in the same field. But I just think that being a creative freelancer and this space, we all talk to each other in the same language in some sense. Like, we're all navigating a journey that has no clear route, and we can only use the evidence and the experience from people who've been there before us to help us. I was watching another YouTube channel called The Future, who is a YouTube channel specifically targeted at freelance designers and designers in general, and all the advice that they were saying and discussing and sharing all applied pretty much to what I do. And that was a big realization of like, aha, I can be a specialist in my area of expertise, which is video, and can still talk about these things and talk to other creatives in similar spaces. And that was, you know, a big realization of somebody who's paved the path for that being a successful route as a YouTuber in a way. And that's kind of similar-ish to what I'm hoping to build with this channel. Therefore, I feel like helping creative freelancers with my particular area of specialism, you know, being video making, video editing, is still a niche. I hope. And I hope that I also attract other freelancers, creative freelancers from a variety of different specialisms and disciplines. Also because then we can help each other, right? I feel like if it's just only talking to freelancers of a particular like niche, I don't know, like I love video editors, but I want to kind of attract different people and help different people and have us all create a space where we can help each other out in different areas. So that's my niche. Maybe that you don't think that's niche at all. Maybe some people in the comments are going to criticize and say, no, that's a stupid niche. But I don't know. It just feels right for me. Looking at my previous uploads over this whole year, even before I made this decision, I was already making videos about this more. I was making less videos about video editing tutorial-y stuff and more videos about like the psychology and the mindset around navigating freelance life. So it just felt right to me to try this out as a niche and see how it feels. Thus far, it feels really, really good, especially when I'm coming up with YouTube video ideas. I feel more excited talking about this topic versus trying to come up with some sort of like music video-y breakdown thing, which was fun to do, but it took a lot of time. And maybe I could do more videos like that in the past, especially because I had one recently that randomly started popping off on the YouTube algorithm for no reason. The confusing algorithm randomly started to give it some love. But yeah, for now, I feel like a home for creative freelancers, helping fellow creative freelancers navigate this often confusing journey of trying to make money and keep our sanity in this career path. Especially if you live somewhere where you just don't have anybody else who's doing this path. The great thing is that, on YouTube, you can feel some sense of community, hopefully, and a sense that there are people like me and I'm not just a weirdo, because that's honestly what I had when I was younger. I think this is also a big thing, is that when I was younger, like I just felt that I wasn't going to have like a typical job, as it were, but I didn't have anybody else around me who was striving to go down this route like me. And I just feel like if I had a channel like mine or like other channels that I follow, then it would have been way easier. Like it would have been way easier if I had that, but if I didn't have that at all, which I kind of didn't, but if I had a channel, like mine or other channels that I follow, it would have made it way, way easier to actually like have the confidence to know that I could build a career from this, or to, be able to live off this interest that I have. And that's really what I hope for this channel long term, is that it becomes that. Just to, make life as a freelance creative way less lonely for any other fellow creative who might be watching this. Or aspiring creative as well, if you're just somebody who isn't currently doing that as a living, but you're looking to get into a career path within this. I also think that I want to try and help those people as well. And all of this really culminates with a desire to have more discipline in general and kind of a focus away from distractions. Yeah, I know like this could sound like toxic productivity BS, as it were, but I found ways that really help with this. Like I think maybe in my last year review roundup video, I said that I wanted to spend more time working around friends, like co-working, getting a coffee together with our laptops and doing work together. And I did quite a lot of that this year, and it really, really helped. But I think of all the productivity tools and mindsets and things that we hear online, I actually have come to the conclusion, don't get mad at me, that it doesn't work for the long term. Because yeah, it's way more difficult than ever to stay fully in focus, because we have the best devices ever, right? That give us all the cool distractions and whatever else we might be looking to manage. Yeah, you can Instagram and you can really go crazy cold turkey and just delete those apps and stay all focused. But I've tried most things, I feel, and nothing has ever stuck long term with managing these distractions, other than my sense that it's not even about the apps, it's about me, which might sound like a counterintuitive mindset or a very disagreeable opinion, but I genuinely feel like there's been times in my life where I've worked on an edit for a client or a project of my own, and I didn't need to be, Instagram could do nothing to distract me from my focus on these things. I even had this recently where I was doing some After Effects animations for a client, and I was looking forward to waking up and doing them because I was just learning to get better with After Effects, doing some stuff that I hadn't done in a while on that software. And there's no way that I just wasn't pulling up my phone to be like, oh, let's check Instagram, distract myself from just the pain and discomfort of me feeling boredom or like, oh, I can't be asked doing this. Not every single project is this. I get it. Some projects are boring. Some things are boring in general in life. But I think a lot of our desire to avoid distraction and all these techniques and things that we do to try and manage this are, some are good, but I think the ultimate is really being able to just accept that almost nothing will prevent this feeling and delete it or remove it, because that feeling is there for a reason, and it's about managing and accepting that as a feeling. Like, I read a really good book that I'm gonna find the quote down here on my laptop that really helped with this. It's from a book called 4,000 Weeks, and the quote is, "The most effective way to sap distraction of its power is to just stop expecting things to be otherwise. To accept that this unpleasantness is simply what it feels like for finite humans to commit ourselves to the kinds of demanding and valuable tasks that force us to confront our limited control over how our lives unfold." Pretty profound stuff, because it essentially like Uno reverse cards the whole mindset around how to deal with distractions, because it just states that you're supposed to feel like this. You're supposed to feel restless in a task that is inherently not super exciting, or by its very nature is a bit boring, and you would have a much more enjoyable time scrolling through the gram, the good old gram, or YouTube as well. That's what my distraction time usually is if I do it. Actually, when I do it. It's not if I do it. I do still succumb to the distractions. But yeah, I just love this mindset, and I love this quote that it's just an acceptance of the fact that when you're just committing yourself to a hard thing, that it's gonna feel not great, and the metric of something being good for you should not be it feels inherently good, because otherwise why would anybody do anything? Like, you wouldn't run a marathon, you wouldn't go to the gym if it felt good while doing it. In a way, there's some like pleasure that comes from the discomfort and moving through that. And yeah, I get it, there's a lot of things that are just more inherently harder initially. I'm reading Mark Manson's book, So a Lot I'm Not Giving a Fuck. He talks a lot about that, how life is life and happiness, and what does it mean to be happy? How do you achieve happiness? And it really is, as he says, it's about solving problems, and happiness comes from solving problems, and life is all about finding better problems that you can solve. And it's just so true. Like, I read that book once every single year, and it's always hits home to me that that is the truth of the matter, is that when I'm the happiest, it's usually either around people doing something, like just socializing or whatever, or it's solving a problem that was either really, really difficult at the time, or maybe I didn't even realize I could solve it, and then I got through that. And yeah, nostalgically looking back at certain times in my life that were full of problems, definitely full of way worse problems that I was trying to solve than what I have now. And yet I now look back nostalgically at those moments as like wistfully, oh, that was such a cool time in history where I was doing this thing or trying to break my way into the film industry and knock on doors and call companies. And then I got like my first chance on a film set as a trainee. And then that was like my first taste of getting money and working on like cool commercials and learning all this stuff. Like, all of this is now a nostalgic ideal that I look back towards and can get lost in a quite a dangerous way, in my opinion. Like, I think nostalgia can be quite a dangerous element to look back on too deeply and identify like that was such a beautiful time in life and nothing will ever be as good as that, which might be true. Nothing might ever be as good as that nostalgia that you once had. But again, like, that is still not a good value metric. If you're constantly moving through life with the mindset of, unless my present day or future life will match the emotions that I feel for this nostalgia, then I'm a failure. That is terrible. And I have to remind myself that, because I've struggled with that with this year, like having times in my life where I was really, where I look back and I had a way better social circle and I was working it together with all these different creatives, like maybe at university or when I first came here to Budapest to work for a YouTube channel. And if I'm constantly trying to compare my life to this past version of me, or what was going on in life and the time in history and all these other things, like I'm never going to be happy until I reach that. And maybe when I reach that, I'll realize that actually I didn't even want that anyway. And I think that the time that I'm living right now is probably going to be looked upon nostalgically in 5 years' time, or maybe even less. And it's a really hard pill to swallow, accepting that, because it feels so true as a reality. And I know that it actually is true. And in 5 years' time, I'll look back at this video and be like, yeah, Adam, that was some straight up wisdom that you got right there. So in a way, I don't want to regret that. I don't want to regret my nostalgic thought process of assigning value to a past version of my life and trying to chase that to make me feel happy. In Mark Manson's book, the one of the early chapters, he talks a lot about how one of the previous band members for Metallica got basically booted out of the band, and then he vowed to start up a better band that was going to sell more records, and then he founded Megadeth, one of the other like massive heavy metal bands that, I mean, I don't listen to a lot of heavy metal, but I know Megadeth and Metallica. And the guy was basically saying how he still feels like a failure because he never sold as many records or reached the height of success that Metallica did, the band he got kicked out of, because his value metric of like what it means to be successful was so outlandishly unrealistic that he will forever be unhappy that he doesn't match up to those expectations that he himself created for himself. This can be applied to everything. It can be applied to me with my YouTube channel, that I look at my subscribers or my average views and I'm like, oh, I'm not as good as that guy. Maybe when I get 10,000 subs, then I'll be happy. Maybe when my videos get 1,000 views each and I can scroll down the list and just see 1,000, then I'll be like, yeah. But it's not like we're constantly going to move the goalposts of where we're at or what we want. And I think like striving for more is good, but to use that as like a driving metric of what you think is going to make you happy or feel content is silly, because I just don't think that is the case. And I think, again, it's going to be another thing where I'll hit this many subscribers one day and look back nostalgically at, I remember when I was barely getting any views a video and there was way less pressure and I felt like I could talk about whatever I wanted on camera because it didn't matter because only 100 people were watching it, versus now I've got 10,000 people watching every video. Oh, the pressure. It's all the same loop. It's the never-ending spiral of pain. Not really pain. Psychological pain. What do I want to have more of in 2025 based on the lessons that I've taken away from this year? I would say more of a sense of enjoyment in the discomfort of the things in life that I might be doing at the time, especially with client work, or, you know, the like fall more into the acceptance of the instability in certain time periods, whether that be like I lose a client and I'm like, oh no, I need to find more clients, or, you know, or just any area of my life where I feel a little bit of that anxiety, because I'm generally quite an anxious person, unfortunately, or fortunately in some ways, that, you know, I do dream of a time where I feel really stable in every single area or many areas of my life. And when I don't feel that, sometimes that anxiety does like rush to the surface and really take over from me. And I just hope that I can have a lot more times in life where I can ride that wave and enjoy it for what it is. And because ultimately I know that when things are uber duper stable and I'm like, everything is stable, life is great, then I'm going to be like, oh, but that time when everything was super stable and I was like trying to navigate it all, that was so fun. And now I feel nostalgic about that, because that's just what's going to happen based on previous experiences that I've had that are similar to the time that I've been living this year. So I really hope for more of that. And also I feel like I've kind of accepted stability in some areas that are good. Like, this is the first time saying this publicly on the internet, actually, is that I got engaged this year to my lovely girlfriend Henriette. So that is really a big form of stability, the relationship side of stability, because I feel like if I sit too much in the instability for too long, I, with my particular personality, would get overwhelmed, versus maybe you really thrive on that as a creative, to, you know, navigate the instability in every single area of your life. Maybe I personally need a little bit. I need like some creature comforts. I've recently started collecting a lot more physical stuff, like physical video games, physical books more, because I just like it. I like how it looks. It feels nice to see like my inventory of cool creative media stacking up. And yeah, you could say, waste the money, Adam. Like, you don't need to do that. Get a Kindle book for way cheaper. But it's about, I just feel nicer with these things. So, you know, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't spend my money on dumb stuff. Sorry, alcohol lovers and smoker lovers out there. But therefore, I feel like I can reward myself for my good work in certain times with stuff that, you know, generally makes my day-to-day living feel nicer. But I think that's really one of the beautiful things about trying to navigate life, is that everybody's so different. And if you can recognize what your strengths and weaknesses are in certain areas and either work on those weaknesses or accept the strengths that you have, because some of those strengths might appear to you to be weaknesses, and in some ways they are. Like my general anxiety-ness can be a weakness in a lot of ways. Like I was suffering from it really badly a year ago. Hypochondriac tendencies where I couldn't even like travel to a different country to see my friend because I was just so worried that I was going to get ill and some bad thing was going to happen to me. Like it's not a good thing, right? But generally, like my anxious nature makes me a little bit more conservative about certain things, maybe like with money and some stuff that is actually kind of beneficial to me long term, versus somebody who's very like, I just don't think about anything and go out and do it. Like I admire those people and I have friends who are like that. But I think in general, my life, and for me, that doesn't suit me long term, which I think the best ultimate solution is to have friends who bring in different elements of who you are, so you can kind of try them on for yourself, feel out what they are like for you, and then take on some of the good elements and throw away the stuff that you don't feel like suits you at all. So yeah, more like enjoyment of the stability, more of a sense of play and fun with YouTube, because who knows how long I'll be in this journey that I'm in currently, where I feel like I have like a decent base of people who would watch a video like this. But maybe at some point my channel will start to really, really take off, and I don't want to squander the loveliness of the fact that I'm like a tiny channel that can pretty much make videos about whatever I want, and I'm not dependent on any of the success that might come from YouTube. Because it feels nicer that way. And I guess if at some point this channel does get super duper big, then I'll have to navigate all the stuff where I have way more responsibilities for this channel to work. But I hope it never comes to the phase where I don't feel like I can still make videos like this that are not about anybody else but my own candid desire to just share what's going on for me for at the version of me 5-10 years in the future who can look back on this, and maybe for anybody who's watching this now that can resonate with some of the stuff that I'm going through, and maybe share in the comments and wherever else like other things that have maybe come to your mind from the things that I've been talking about in this video. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I didn't want to drag this video on for too long. It's already closing in on half an hour, maybe more, looking at my little camera timer there. But I just want to say thank you all so much for all the support and love this year. I've had some really good videos that I released this year. I have scaled down to 2 videos a month, just because I experimented a lot with like a video every single week previously, but I just found like this year with other client stuff that I have going on, and realistically like the time and attention that I can put into videos to still make stuff that I feel is good, I've scaled to 2 videos a month. So sorry if you're expecting a video a week. I also because I want to focus a lot more on Instagram Reels. Currently, this video is probably already out, but I made a really good one which was like a funny music video about being a freelancer, where I sang and did the whole music production myself, so I can practice my music production without feeling guilty that it's not for like something to do with my online career or creative career or posting, which is something else that I should probably work on. But yeah, that should be out as well. I'm really happy how that turned out. So that's where I'm at currently, is a video every single fortnight. Going to be posting stuff on Instagram, still going to be doing my newsletter, and let's see kind of what next year brings with that schedule, because I just want to keep working on more client stuff, have more experiences in my whole creative journey, and then be able to share it with you guys online and help as many people out as I can, and hopefully build an awesome community on here of fellow creatives who want to like share in this whole journey together. But thank you all for the support this year. It means a lot. Having all the nice comments and encouragement really does help in times where I'm like, I should quit this whole YouTube thing forever. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. As hard as it is to say without speaking to this lens in front of me where I don't see any of your faces, I genuinely do really, really much appreciate it. So thank you again for the third time. And if you want to see the previous year review video, I have a whole playlist over here, playlist right here that you can click on. I've said stuff in there every single year that could be interesting for you to check out. And let's make 2025 another awesome year, or if this year was complete poop to you, let's make it an awesome year versus the poopy year that was this year. Okay, bye. See you next year.